You walk into a room, nothing is wrong, no argument, no tension, no raised voices, but something inside you, instantly, goes quiet. Your brain has already started reading the room before you even sat down. The way someone glanced away a half second too fast, the smile that reached the mouth, but never the eyes, the sentence that sounded fine, but carried something heavy underneath it. And the worst part? You can't turn it off. You never could. Most people call this a gift, a superpower, but if you actually live inside this mind, you know the truth. It's exhausting, because that same brain that reads every room, takes every room home, it replays, reanalyzes, rebuilds entire conversations at 2 a.m. trying to find the thing it missed. Today, we're going inside the psychology of people who are overaware, why they became this way, what it costs them, and the 3 principles that finally set them free. And if you've ever been told you overthink everything, stay with me, because what you're about to hear might be the first time someone finally explains you to you. Act 1, where it comes from. Before we talk about what hyper-awareness does to a person, we have to understand where it comes from, because psychology is very clear on this. There are 2 completely different origins. The first group, they were simply born this way. Science calls them highly sensitive persons, HSPs. They carry a trait called sensory processing sensitivity, and it means their nervous system arrived in this world already set to maximum volume. Where most people hear background noise, they hear every instrument in the orchestra. Where most people see a room, they see every face in it. The world for them exists in a kind of permanent high definition, richer, more vivid, more overwhelming. But the second group, and this is the one that rarely gets talked about, they weren't born this way. They were built this way by survival. Imagine a child growing up in a home where the emotional weather changed without warning. Happy 1 minute, explosive the next. That child couldn't afford the luxury of innocence, so their brain did what all brains do when they're threatened. It adapted. That child learned to hear the sound of car tires pulling into the driveway and already know, before the door even opened, whether tonight was going to be safe or not. They memorized the exact sound of a kitchen cabinet closing and could tell you in an instant how angry their mother was. Just from the weight of the slam, neuroscience calls this state hypervigilance. And biologically, what happened was this: their amygdala, the brain's alarm system, was activated so frequently, so consistently, that it essentially rewired itself. It recorded one message over and over. This environment is not safe. Keep scanning. Keep watching. Never stop. Nobody taught them this. No one sat them down and said, be more aware. Their nervous system built an entire surveillance network automatically just to keep them alive. And when they grew up, that survival system didn't disappear. It came with them into every office, every relationship, every quiet moment. The shield that once protected the child fused into the adult's skin. And that's the first thing people who are overaware need to hear. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You built something extraordinary just to survive. And it worked. The question is, now that you're safe, how do you finally put it down? Act 2. The 6 SIGINs. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in daily life. Sign 1. Your brain never stops running the equation. Your boss sends a message at 4 p.m. Come see me for a minute later. For most people, that's a meeting. For you, the moment you read those words, something tightens in your chest. You scan the sentence for temperature. Is it colder than usual? Did he use a period instead of an emoji? What does later mean? Is that urgent or casual? This happens because of something called the default mode network, the part of the brain involved in self-reflection and meaning-making. In most people, it activates mainly during rest. In overaware people, it never really stops. Half of you is in the room, nodding, laughing, drinking your coffee. The other half is in the control room, watching every monitor at once. The result? You can finish an entire day of doing nothing physically demanding and feel like you just ran a marathon because mentally, you did. Sign 2. You don't just feel emotions, you interrogate them. Psychology calls this metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. But for you, it's not a skill you switch on. It's a courtroom that's always in session. You feel sad one afternoon, and immediately the cross-examination begins. Why am I sad? Is this sadness even valid? I have a good life. I should be grateful. What's wrong with me for feeling this? You're not just feeling an emotion, you're putting it on trial. Even joy doesn't get a pass. You laugh at a party, genuinely, freely, and before the laugh has even finished, a part of you is floating near the ceiling, watching yourself, asking, was that too loud? Did that sound real? It's like learning to dance, while staring at your reflection the entire time, correcting your posture. You never miss a step, but you forget what it feels like to just move. Sign 3. You've lost your relational innocence. There's a specific kind of loneliness that comes with deep awareness. It's not the loneliness of being alone, it's the loneliness of seeing things that no one around you seems to see. A coworker brings you coffee and compliments your project. Most people just feel good. You? Your brain is already scanning quietly in the background. Why now? What do they need? Is this kindness or an investment? You've seen the backstage of human behavior too many times to trust only the performance. You know that kindness sometimes comes with conditions, that confidence is sometimes just a costume, that apologies are sometimes just management, not genuine remorse. This isn't cynicism. It isn't bitterness. It's just, you've seen too much to pretend you haven't. And the cost of that is this quiet ache. A compliment always carries layers. A promise always feels fragile. Even love can feel like something you're waiting to be proven wrong about. Sign 4. You absorb other people's emotions like a sponge that never gets wrung out. You walk into a meeting. No one speaks, but you feel it. The tension between two people across the room before a single word is said. Psychology calls this emotional empathy, but for overaware people, it goes further than understanding someone else's pain. You live inside it. It's connected to mirror neurons, the neural system that fires when we see someone experiencing emotion, as if we're experiencing it ourselves. For most people, those neurons observe. For you, they absorb. Someone on the bus is tapping their foot with anxious energy, and suddenly your heart rate has climbed. A friend tells you about their divorce, and 3 days later, that weight is still sitting in your chest. You become the emotional regulator in every room you enter. People love being around you. They feel seen, understood, safe. But here's what no one ever says out loud. The person who always understands everyone almost never gets understood themselves. You carry everyone else's emotional weight home, and at the end of the day, there's nobody there to help you unpack it. Sign 5. Your body became part of the alarm system. This is the one people talk about the least, but feel the most. Science calls it interoception, your brain's ability to sense and interpret signals from inside your own body. In overaware people, this system is hypersensitive. You drink an espresso, your heart beats slightly faster, the caffeine, normal, harmless, but your brain scans the sensation, searches its memory for what rapid heartbeat means, and quietly sounds the alarm. Fast heartbeat, that's danger. Something is wrong. What started as a morning coffee becomes a spiral, and this creates what neuroscientists call a cortisol loop. A physical sensation appears. The brain flags it as a threat. The body releases stress hormones. Those hormones create more physical sensations, which the brain flags as more threats, and the loop runs itself, even when absolutely nothing is actually wrong. You feel restless in silence, uneasy during calm, anxious in your own stillness, as if peace itself can't be trusted. Sign 6. You've been trying to control the future to avoid being hurt by it. This is the deepest one. Underneath all the analysis, all the scanning, all the emotional absorption, there's a belief, an old, exhausted belief that has been running quietly for years. If I can just predict every possible outcome, I won't be blindsided by pain. So the mind runs simulations. What if this person pulls away? What if everything I've built falls apart? If the worst happens, how do I need to react so I don't completely fall apart? Psychology calls this analysis paralysis, and it is brutal, because instead of living in your life, you're managing it, running it like a crisis project, mosseting every risk, modeling every disaster, and the cruelest irony. In trying to protect yourself from pain, you step outside the only place where real joy actually lives, the present moment. Act 3, the way through. So, what do you do with a mind like this? You can't just turn it off. Asking an overaware person to stop noticing things is like asking someone with perfect eyesight to see everything as blurry. The answer isn't less awareness. The answer is learning to carry less. People who break free from this pattern, they tend to anchor themselves in 3 principles. Principle 1, not every silence is a message meant for you. If someone takes 3 hours to reply to your text, maybe they are exhausted. If a coworker walks past without smiling, maybe they have a headache. The overaware mind personalizes everything. Learning to depersonalize is not naivety, it's precision. It's choosing to stop spending your emotional energy on problems that don't actually exist. Principle 2, not every emotion needs to be solved. Anxiety appears. The urge is immediate. Analyze it, explain it, fix it. But what if instead, you just named it? My heart is beating fast. That's a physical sensation. It's not an emergency. You observe it, without judgment, without interrogation, and you let it pass the way weather passes. This is the difference between being ruled by your inner world and simply witnessing it. Principle 3, not every insight is your responsibility to carry. You may see someone's insecurity clearly. You don't have to become their therapist. You may feel the instability in a relationship before anyone else admits it. You don't have to fix it before it breaks. Clarity is only a gift when it comes with boundaries. Knowing what belongs to you and knowing what belongs to the world to handle is not coldness. It is wisdom. When overaware people begin to practice these principles, something remarkable happens. Their awareness doesn't disappear. It matures. They still feel the energy of a room the moment they walk in, but they're no longer pulled under by its current. They still see the layers beneath what people say, but they no longer need to decode every single one. They move from using awareness to predict to using awareness to be present, from fear to curiosity, from carrying every equation in the world to finally, quietly putting most of them down. The ceiling light in their mind doesn't turn off, but it changes from a sharp, merciless laser that exposes every flaw to a warm candle, bright enough to understand the complexity of people, gentle enough to warm themselves as well. If you've ever been called too sensitive, if your mind has ever kept you awake building entire worlds out of one unanswered message, understand this, that depth is not a disorder. It is not a flaw. Asterisk, it is a form of intelligence that the world desperately needs more of. It just needs one thing from you in return, your compassion, turned inward, finally. If this video landed somewhere real for you, drop a comment with the sign that felt most like you. You'd be surprised how many people